What are some of the biggest mistakes that newly divorced Catholics make? I happen to know what quite a few of these are, not just because I work with the divorced. I am a previously divorced Catholic, and I made a lot of these mistakes myself. The first thing that divorced people do that's not good is try to rush into a new relationship too soon. We talked about how you need to have an annulment first before you even date because you're still married. But even when you do have a decree of nullity, you might not be emotionally ready and your thinking isn't clear and your judgment is clouded. Don't do this to yourself or your children. The next thing along with this is don't introduce your kids too soon to somebody you are dating. Don't try to form a little family unit and all go to church together and have your kids all play together. All that does is create a false sense of family that when that one falls apart, you got another divorce. You don't want to do that to yourself or your kids. The next big problem that newly divorced persons create for their own selves is staying locked in years-long court battles, fighting unfairly in court, or hanging on to the point where they have just lost their mental and emotional and spiritual sanity. They have got to get that house. They have got to get things the way they want, and they are not going to let go. That person betrayed them, and they're not going to do it again in court. But I see a lot of people come into our divorce recovery groups, and they can't move forward in their healing when they're engaged in this horrible, emotion-draining battle of bitterness. One of the worst things that newly divorced people can do also regards to the kids is to badmouth the other parent to the children. Look, I know it's tempting to do, especially if that person hurt you deeply, but that child, your children, have the right to love the other parent, no matter how messed up you think that parent is. And the adult situations about the money and the court arguments and everything else needs to be kept on an adult level and don't have the children be brought into that mess. It's not good for them. In a certain sense, you use them as pawns on the chessboard of your game trying to win with your ex. And all that does is really hurt the kids. The other thing that you really want to make sure that you do is get professional help or get legal help. One of the big problems I see with newly divorced people is maybe they don't want to be too mean, and so they don't want to fight in court, so they don't get an attorney when they really do need one to protect their assets, which protects really the whole family. It's a complex situation, and everyone is unique, so get help if you need it. Some of the other really bad things that newly divorced people do is use their kids as messengers between parents. Here, tell your mother she's late on this, or your father he didn't do this. You know, again, that just really hurts the kid more than it hurts anybody else. And don't compete for the children's attention. I know that it's very tempting to have the kids hear and understand and listen to your anger and your grief at the injustices that you feel were done to you. But it's not the kids' place to be your therapist. They need to be kids, so leave them alone and instead get a good friend, a good therapist, or a good spiritual director.